back again, and we are getting closer to the finale of the ever-anticipated, highly critically rated, maybe, Obi-Wan Series 1. So episode 5, got done watching, and just going to talk about it a little bit. I am going to try and keep my review a little more succinct. I think the last couple have been like 30 minutes, and I know I can tend to rant a little bit, so I'm going to try and stay on point with a little bit about what happened here and what I thought. So, good stuff first is, I do think, maybe other than the first episode, this might be my favorite episode. The first episode mostly because it was just so new and cool to see the characters again, so that was like really refreshing. And then, you know, dialogue happened and some story things, and I was like, ooh, what's going on here? This one, it's kind of actually a couple things happened that I thought would happen, not exactly how I thought would happen, because it turns out how they happened is kind of stupid, but it is interesting. There were some cool things. Firstly, Vader is a lot more OP in this one, and he's definitely meant to be. I mean, again, but there's pros and cons to that. Like, there's a lot of showing how strong and powerful Vader is in this episode, which he is at this time especially, but it does make some things get questioned in some of the earlier episodes. So this one's mostly about everybody trying to get off the base. Okay, so yeah, where are we at? So into the fourth episode, they actually do get Leia back. Remember, they attacked the Inquisitor base and was able to get everybody off of there without most incidents, other than the one guy that nobody really talked about anymore. Just, it is war. So they're at the new place. They're trying to evacuate, but they have to wait. For some reason, something's happening. Oh yeah, the droid that Reva is tracking them with also sabotages the doors and keeps them in this bay where they have to... Okay, watch the episode if you want to. For sure, there's a lot of spoilers going to happen in this. So they're trying to get out. Fine. Vader's following them. Fine. It starts really with, again, Vader being so impressed with Reva and just makes her the Grand Inquisitor right away. The dialogue is sketch at best. It's very just, I have underestimated you and you are the new Grand Inquisitor. It's just, okay, whatever it is, fine. Do that one, send Reva down to go ahead and get Obi-Wan out. You know, they're doing some cool flashbacks. That was probably the other thing that was pretty cool. It was really nice. Not that I thought that it looked excessively well. I mean, it was a good change of pace, just a flashback and very bright colors and stuff. It very much so looked like the prequels, which was neat. The flashbacks to, I think, episode 2, not episode 2, but yeah, I guess they call it episodes. But the second movie, Clone Wars. And so they had Hayden Christensen back too, and Ewan McGregor, and they were talking, and it was kind of paralleling the same story that was happening now. So it was kind of neat in that you got to see them back, you got to see them actually have dialogue, you got to see Hayden Christensen's face. It was pretty good. I was a little questioning the fact that this is Marvel, that well, Disney owns Marvel, and Marvel has done a lot with de-aging technology in their movies. I mean, if it's Michael Douglas, if it's any number of people from the various movies, they didn't really utilize that very much in this, because, again, Hayden Christensen, I think he looks good for a 40-something-year-old, but he definitely looked 40, and he was definitely still playing a teenager, I believe, so that was a little interesting, but okay, I can move past that one. I still ended up liking some more of that stuff. Their lightsaber fight that they had was probably the best lightsaber fight that we've had so far, which isn't saying much, because most lightsaber fights that have been in the show have been garbage. It still was nowhere near what was happening at the time in the actual movies. So in the Clone Wars, again, if you go back and watch those, the things that they're doing with lightsabers in their fights are pretty amazing and immaculate, and then it's not as much in that. But that's okay. Moving back, clearly Vader sent Reva down there to secure Obi-Wan. There's a lot of foreshadowing that happens with what's happening in the old story versus this story, and vice versa. Everybody thinks they know who's got everybody figured out. Those are mostly the good things. There's a couple more bad things that are going to be popping up here pretty quickly. So, end all be all, Vader gets down there. Reva has secured... Oh my god, I can't believe I just jumped over a whole thing. Okay, so Reva gets down there. They're trying to break into the base. Obi-Wan said, okay, well, you know, I know you need 4 hours to fix this, but you've got one. Go. then there's the whole thing where they're still trying to get the door open, and the only person that can apparently do that is a 10-year-old girl. Get me a ladder. Get this child a ladder. It's really weird. Very child empowering. Again, maybe for the kids and the kids show that they're watching, but very agitating and unfortunate. Kind of the same thing with I can't remember his name, but he's the guy from Eternals, and he was the fake Jedi in like the second and third episode, but then did end up helping them escape. I do like him in quite a few movies. Like he's got a good sense of humor and he's funny. It doesn't work for me in this one. His interactions with Obi-Wan and let alone Leia, he's just turned from being kind of like he was mimicking or he was impersonating a Jedi, very smooth, charismatic, and now he's just kind of a bumbling idiot when he's talking to Leia. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, they're trying to distract Reva and everybody else that's trying to get through the front door, and the biggest thing is all of a sudden, okay, well, I think they get through, and then they start shooting. Well, no, he has a conversation with Reva first. I want to talk to Reva. I don't know how they, communicate with the stormtroopers on the outside, but whatever. They get there. They're talking through the door. What I've realized in this show is in the last 2 episodes, which is also a short one, I think it was 40 minutes, every character that Star Wars wants you to care about and wants you to have feeling, they have their backstory that they want to get out, and they don't really have a clever way of doing that, so they just have a character walk up to Obi-Wan and just spit out their backstory. That or Obi-Wan will ask like one question to try and convince them to do something, and then there's just a little bit of a monologue about exposition about why it's important that we should care about them, and this was no exception. I mean, it happened with the Imperial lady that turned, is helping them do all this stuff, so, against the Imperial, she told about how she's inadvertently helped kill tons of families and stuff like that. It was with Ice Cube's son, same thing about his wife, and then you come Reva, the one that they've been trying to build up as this badass, uncompromising, we're going to kill all of these people, and I'm just going to go up the ladder and blah, 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 blah. They're between a wall, and Obi-Wan just, I know you. How did you know this, blah, blah, blah. You had to have been there. You were a Padawan. Or a youngling. You knew all these things. He's just figuring out all the things that we've all known since episode 1 when they made it really apparent who she was. And just like that, she just melts and just regurgitates the whole story about what happened. This is a person that has not been very willing to do such things throughout this episode and didn't care at all about pretty much anything. Still necessarily doesn't. Her plan is to actually kill Vader, even though she's been in his presence numerous times. I don't think her plan is to actually kill him and get away. Obi-Wan keeps tinkering with, we can do it together, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to do it myself. Anyway, they part ways. Reva starts to, attack the door. They're figuring it out. They open up the doors, and that's when, this whole freaking squad or unit of the stormtroopers that are there, start going in. They start shooting the rebels that are inside. There's probably, a dozen rebels, if they're called rebels at this point. And then there's definitely 2 to 3 times that number of stormtroopers on the outside. And they're shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. Apparently, I don't know if people just didn't have war or history books back in the Star Wars times or in the future Star Wars times, but nobody hides behind anything, especially stormtroopers. I know they are known for being bad shots, and that's one of the things that you can accept, and I've tried to, but when you've got, I would say it was at least 2 dozen, so 20 to 30, we'll say 25 stormtroopers on the outside shooting into a cave, more or less, where there's a row of rebels. They hit 1 for the majority of the fight. 1. Then they winged another one, I think, and they shot again, I can't remember her name, the lady that's the Imperial commander that has turned on him. Shot her. The droid that you're supposed to care about for some reason, when you've seen him in half a scene or half an episode, is protecting her, and she's going down. This show does so many unearned things. So, again, let alone, I get it, stormtroopers are bad. She slaps the stormtroopers again, I'm pretty sure, to get away. There's a lot of things happening here, and it's just not good. Again, whoever choreographed fights or if they storyboarded the battle scenes, they just must have missed some. I don't know if it was budgetary reasons. Oh, we're going to skip over this, whatever. So anyway, they're kind of falling back. They're getting away. They're killing a bunch of stormtroopers for sure, and they've killed 1. I think, I don't know if they even showed his body, but one of the rebels. And then they gun down the Imperial Guard lady, our commander, and she's behind the droid that's trying to save her. The droid's dying, and Obi-Wan's over here handling his business, and she's got a grenade, and she shows it to him, and he's slow-mo, no, and the door shuts, and then she's holding it behind the droid and just explodes and kills a bunch more stormtroopers. Reva survives, of course. She could have thrown that. She was behind a droid. She could just... and then... whatever. Okay, so they try to make it very dramatic that she's now gone, and... again, it was just awkward. It was like, very... you're supposed to care about these people and this person, and you don't, because... again, actually, that actress, I thought she did a fantastic job in all of her scenes for the most part. Again, her story is interesting, and it's more of, it's forced. You're supposed to like her. You're supposed to feel bad for her, and blah, blah, blah. And then when she dies, you're supposed to have this great... it's like, no, I don't. She could have survived. I don't like it when people self-sacrifice for no reason other than as a plot point. Anyway, they fall back a little more. They barricade a little more. And then that's when Obi-Wan just decides that all of that was for nothing and I'm going to surrender. Even though maybe he's got a plan. Because Vader comes back, oh, they've already lost. And they haven't, because we know they get away. We know Leia and Obi-Wan get away. So, whatever. Anyway, so Obi-Wan's plan is now to give up. He's going to surrender. So he does that, walks out, and apparently just, I guess, the stormtroopers, I mean, not like they could hit him if they wanted to, but they're like, okay, fine, we'll just take him over there. They walk him up to Reva. I think Vader's on his way down now. I don't know if they've told him that already or if he's just coming down. But she's, I mean, his plan is like to talk to her. We should do this together. She's like, there's no way. Why would I do that? I can do it on my own. He's like, no, you can't. She's like, yeah, we'll see. Vader's on his way. And then, again, another thing I did kind of like, I like but I dislike, is the fact that then Obi-Wan's like, okay, well, if you don't want to do it with me, then I'm going to tell Darth Vader about you and who you are. And then she's, oh shit, you spoiled my plans. So that whole monologue that you had, just, you felt the need to spill your guts to Obi-Wan, an hour ago about your whole backstory and your plan. That blew up in your face? No way. No way that blew up in your face. That's insane. Okay, so now she's like, okay, well, I gotta figure something out. So Obi-Wan's like, we can team up together. I want to get these people out of here. And then there's just and with the nod, the stormtroopers also know to take him back into the cave, shut the doors, where he can go in and kill them, escape, and then, set up and try and get out of there. I don't know. Vader lands. Where is he? I've corralled him in the back. So you have all the stormtroopers out here with the ship. You have Reva. You have the doors sealed, and I took him back there. He's got 2 guards on him. Yeah, whatever. Vader starts walking in there, just notices everything, all the stormtroopers around, gets to the back, breaks through the door, and then there's the transport ship taking off, which he grabs, which is awesome. I do really appreciate when you see really powerful Force users utilize that one, and we've seen it really cool represented in video games a lot and some of the animated stuff. It's harder to do in live action, I guess, but Vader's super strong. Starkiller is one of my favorite ones when he does it with like a whole freaking big galactic Empire ship. Anyway, gets there, it's going up, he grabs it, messes with it, pulls it down. Again, I like the power. It's a little wonky looking, like the CGI is it's a little, I mean, I guess I have to say that's a TV show. Anyway, pull him down, crashes it, and he just pulls through and it's just tearing it to pieces, which I was like, hey, alright, I like this, we can do this. And then there's nothing there, and immediately this other ship just rises up and takes off, and he just watches it go. Instead of just grabbing that ship too, like he just freaking did, and pulling it back down. So the other ship gets away, and then you see Reva sneaking up on Vader, because now's the best time. I'm sure he has no idea. And she tries to strike him down, and of course she does not. He stops it with the Force, and then just messes with her. This part I did kind of like. So he's got a fight with Reva, and a couple things came to light here. A, it's become more and more apparent how powerful and good Vader is, which he should be. That's the point of Vader. This is, I think, right along the time that he should be in his prime of just badassness. And he pretty much showed that. I don't think he ever drew his lightsaber. He took hers. You know, he just messed with her. He was sidestepping. He was doing a little of this, a little of that, talking some shit, throwing around with the Force. And then he's just like, you know, you have to be stupid to think I didn't know who you were, you know, youngling. And it was like, yeah, that's exactly what all of us have thought. So earlier on I said the way they could save this is if Vader kills Reva and like throws her in the water or lava. Really, I said lava. And he'd been using her the whole time. And literally that's what he'd been doing, which, again, it's almost so apparent. The thing about this is the show treats Star Wars fans like they're freaking idiots. It treats them like they're idiots because you have this character, which we know a lot about, Vader, and you just want to have us believe for 4.5 to 5 of 6 episodes in the show that he just became an absolute dumbass all of a sudden and just believes everything that this horrible character, however it's portrayed, is doing, and he just buys it. So like, yeah, you're just supposed to believe that this whole time, and then, oh yeah, now all of a sudden it's the turn. I knew this the whole time. No shit. Okay, it's either that or they literally retconned Vader to be the most ignorant, stupid ass villain that they've had, which I'm glad they didn't necessarily, even though there's still a bunch of things that happen here. Turns out she's one of the younglings that got away from the Order 66 massacre at the temple, Jedi Temple. Apparently Anakin had run her through, but not enough to kill her. And she watched it. And it was kind of a cool scene when, you know, Vader's walking up and just flashback to when it happened the first time, and Vader stabs her again and does the exact same freaking thing. So apparently Anakin, before Vader, as he was becoming Vader, did run her through with the lightsaber, left her there. She did not die. Vader does that again, runs her through with the lightsaber. I was actually, yes! The show's got a little bit of redeeming quality for me. And then as the seconds and minutes went on and I realized that Reva is not dying from this lightsaber through the chest injury that she has, I realized that this is not good. I think I know potentially where they're maybe going with the show, and I don't like it. Let alone the fact that you got the Grand Inquisitor back. So again, this was all a ruse to try and lure out, or whatever. I mean, probably a ruse to try and lure Obi-Wan out, utilizing a youngling and stuff like that. Yeah, we'll get to that maybe in the next episode. But the take-home message I got here is that nobody really dies from lightsaber through the chest wounds, except for Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon will die immediately from that, but everybody else, especially if they are stabbed by Vader or a red lightsaber, they do not die. So that's interesting. My fear is that they are actually trying to set up Reva as like a, you know, an anti-hero that's going to come around and give her own show, and that would just be horrible. Because honestly, Obi-Wan has been more of an origin story or a story about Reva than pretty much anything else. I mean, a little bit more baby Leia or young Leia, but I have a feeling that's where this is angling, unless they can prove me wrong in episode 6 and just completely kill her off, which would be kind of cool too. Because the other thing that they did is they're making Obi-Wan dumb too. Leia's dad, Organa, the senator, he sent another message to Obi-Wan. So basically a voicemail, you know, we're talking about the little thingies, the holocron thing, leaking some very important information about Leia and Luke, and, you know, where they're at and what they're supposed to be doing, and just leaves that. And Obi-Wan gives that to the guy that he leaves to watch Leia while he gives up, and there's a whole story with it. But turns out that gets left behind. So now there's just this tidbit of knowledge on this little device that's right next to Vader, the Grand Inquisitor, Reva, like all these as they're fighting, that says where Luke is. I don't know if it actually says who Luke is, but it definitely it insinuates that Obi-Wan is protecting somebody on this planet and blah blah blah. So it gives off everything you need. This is meant to be very suspense building, I think, because oh my god, now you're gonna give the location of Luke away. But we already know that nothing happens to Luke until episode 4. So clearly things get settled okay. I just don't know where they're going with this. Reva ends up grabbing it and is gonna, I'm assuming, go after Luke. For what purpose? I don't know. Is it to hold him hostage to get Obi-Wan back? Does she now hate Obi-Wan? To be fair, Obi-Wan did kind of screw her over here, which I was kind of okay with because it was kind of funny when she's like, we can take him together. That's the only way we can take Vader down. And then he just flies the fuck off in one of the ships and leaves her there, and she gets almost murdered. Not actually murdered because nobody dies. Remember we talked about that. But yeah, that's interesting. So we'll see where the next episode goes. I have no idea, but there were some pros in here. Again, they redeemed Vader a little bit in my eyes with some of the power that he has and can utilize in the Force and stuff like that, and his plan a little bit. Even though it pretty much had to be the only thing they were doing, otherwise it would have made Vader almost unredeemable. But I don't know. The other thing, okay, when Obi-Wan's talking to Reva, it's like, how did you know? The only way that you would have known that Anakin was Vader was while you were there and you seen it happen. Okay, that was his logic. I don't think that logic's out because when she's there, she sees Anakin killing all the younglings, and then the last time she sees Anakin, he looks like Anakin, and then the next time that she's, I'm assuming, introduced to Vader, it's a cyborg, basically burnt to a crisp, arms cut off, and everything like that. You can't hear him the same, and she is introduced as Vader, but she just knows it's Anakin. I don't quite know that logic's out, that she should know that Anakin is Vader. It's very odd, but I can forgive that a little bit, I guess. I guess you have to forgive a lot in this show. Continuity and canon are seemingly not that important to the showrunners of this one, so I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm definitely of the mindset that this has been a rather large calamity and a big mistake for Star Wars as a whole, because as of now, the only thing that this has done for me as a Star Wars fan is actually taken away from Vader and Obi-Wan. Like, I dislike them, or I like them less based off of this show. But let's see where this last episode goes. I mean, again, I don't know if there's supposed to be a second season or not. At this point, I'm hoping there's not, because that was 36 and 40 minutes. Seems like, again, they're filling stuff when you could have made maybe a couple episodes, pretty beefy long ones like Stranger Things, but we'll see. I don't know. Let me know what you think. If you agree, if you like this, that's awesome. Just let me know why. And if the logical stuff doesn't really get in the way, or the extreme fact that stormtroopers can't hit anything, stormtroopers are basically useless. They're just standing there in the wind. That's all that they're good for. Let me know. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace out.